Too much inside.
Yeah, really.
I hear you.
Oh, you do? Ah, there we go.
Wait till you see you.
Yeah.
Gotta replace for you, Matt. Step down.
All right, folks. I'd like to open this public hearing on local law number 2 of 2021, a local law establishing a countywide animal abuse registry. And at this time, I'll ask not Tammy, but Mary Jo to read the notice on the public hearing.
Notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given that there has been duly presented to the county legislature of the county of Greene on the 14th day of June 2021. Local law introductory number 2 of 2021. A local law entitled, a local law establishing a countywide animal abuse registry. Summary of proposed local law number 2 of 2021. Be it enacted by the legislature of Greene County, New York as follows. There's a local law establishing a countywide animal abuse registry to restrict those persons who have committed serious animal welfare crimes to be banned from owning or living with an animal for a period of 15 years and to be listed on the sheriff's website in order to restrict their ability to obtain an animal. The full text of this proposed local law number 2 of 2021 is available for review in the office of the clerk of the Greene County Legislature, 408 411 Main Street, Patchville, New York, 12414, and on the Greene County website, www.greendiscovergreen.com. Further notice is given that the county legislature of the county of Greene will conduct a public hearing on the aforesaid local law on the 21st day of July 2021 at 6:20 p.m. in the legislature meeting room, county office building, 411 Main Street, 4th floor, Patchville, New York, at which time all persons interested in the subject matter therefore will be heard concerning the same. Timmy Elsevill, acting clerk of the county legislature.
Okay, thank you, Mary Jo. The purpose of this public hearing is to hear comments from the public regarding local law number 2 of 2021, a local law establishing a countywide animal abuse registry. If there's anyone here this evening who wishes to be heard with regard to local law number 2 of 2021, a local law establishing a countywide animal abuse registry, I would just ask that you raise your hand to be recognized, and when you stand, please state your name for the record. And with that, we'll begin the hearing. Is there anyone here this evening who wishes to be heard with regard to local law number 2 of 2021, a local law establishing a countywide animal abuse registry? Sir?
Charlie Bush 40.
Sure, just state your name and where you're from.
Well, since no one else is going to step forward and have a word about this local law, local animal abuse registry, I'd like to say, voice my support, first of all, for the concept of the registry. But I would also like to point out that this will place an additional burden on Sheriff Stevens' staff and enforcement staff in the county. And my further concern is how is this additional burden on law enforcement in terms of administration and enforcement of the law. Basically, how is that going to be covered in terms of the expenditures, etc.? I'm sure you've taken that into consideration already, but I think that in terms of the topic, it's a very important point to be made. Rather than tasking our law enforcement personnel with chasing around puppy dealers, etc., we have wife beaters that we might be chasing after, or persons of more violent behavioral pattern. This is another concern. It's going to place undue burden on the sheriff's department when perhaps there are other modalities and ways to approach the problem of animal abuse. My favorite go-to on this in this particular respect is how we treat chickens, cows, pigs, and horses in our slaughterhouses when we're worried about getting into people's homes and worrying about whether they have a record of animal abuse. I by no means support persons adopting or being given a requirement by any means whatsoever an animal that can't defend itself or does not have a voice for itself. I would firmly oppose that type of person acquiring a sensate being subjecting it to abuse. But I do feel that it's very important that we take into consideration your word.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just need to-
Oh, I'm sorry. Harold Badger, New York.
What does it say? Harold Pine?
He asked me to.
Okay, is there anyone else here this evening who wishes to be heard with regard to local law number 2 of 2021, a local law establishing a countywide animal abuse registry?
Okay.
Okay, straight ahead. Yep, yep.
My name is Linda Gunter. My name is Wendy Gunter. I'm the president and founder of Everlasting Hope Animal Rescue in Fallbrook, New York, in Columbia County. But we do work a lot with Greene County residents. So we are here today to support the passing of this. This is my mom and also the vice president of our rescue. We have started our rescue. We are 501c3 nonprofit 10 years ago when we lost our very special dogs to us. Our motto is we lost one, now we save many, and we have saved death row dog. We work with New York City, we work with local surrenders. We have actually worked with our local Columbia Great Humane Society and fostered dogs that were abused. We've had stabbed dogs, dogs that were shot, dogs that were starved to death and neglected, and we have done our best to rehabilitate them and find them their forever homes. So but I just want to kind of answer a little bit of what the gentleman that just set up here. Yes, there are child abusers and there are domestic violence cases, but I also work in another entity for my career, and I do see that there is a serious correlation between abuse of animals and abuse of children, spousal abuse, both men and women, and moving forward to murders and homicides. We have all of our serial killers. There was 99.1 that in new statistics that show that serial killers had started off abusing some form of animal, whether it was the neighbor's rabbit or whether it was squirrels or whatever it was. So starting this, we do have a good sex abuse registry in New York State, which is followed to the sheriff's department on both Columbia and Greene County and New York State. But I really think that this is important because if we can start making this public and getting them on the radar when they're abusing animals, then maybe hopefully we can get to them and work with them in law enforcement and mental health or whatever we need to do to get the resources in place so that they don't abuse kids and spouses and strangers and people in our community.
I'd just like to add that as far as the extra burden on the police officers, this is to create the registry. The people that break the law is part of what they're already doing now. So the additional burden is just the registry, not the prosecution and the conviction.
It's in hopes to stop that continue the recidivism of the continued abuse. So if they get a dog and they fight it, they abuse it, they decapitate it, they stab it, they shoot it, all of these things, this would just get them on our radar moving forward so that they wouldn't be able to give us something to go on when they go to adopt a dog at a pet store or from a rescue. It's huge for us for rescue because it's just one other thing that we can do to check to make sure that we're putting animals into a home. We do all animal rescue. We've had turtles to dogs to cats, kittens, and everything. So it is important to us because whether it's a dog or whether it's a guinea pig, you know, that they're killing, it would be nice for us to know so that we can make sure we don't place another animal into their home to allow it to happen again and again. And we see a lot that animals that are abused in the home, a lot of cases that I've dealt with, there's some form of child abuse or was child abuse in their history. Not saying in all cases, but that's our goal here. And we really appreciate the time for letting us come and having us be a part of it. And we will support it in any way moving forward and work with the Greene County Sheriff's Department any way we can. So thank you for letting us speak and take our time.
And we will be advocating for a law like this in Columbia County.
Thank you.
Yeah, we see how it goes here. And then we're on, I promise. Thank you.
And Mr. Stanzione, did you have a comment as well?
Yes. Just a couple of words. As a Green County District Attorney, I have had the opportunity to review this local law, and I fully support it. It's amazing what can be accomplished when our concerned citizens get involved. And in this particular case, we had a concerned citizen, Jamie Mitchell, who came forward and really worked hard to promote this particular law. The sheriff's office picked up on it and they ran with it because they know how important it is to prosecute animal crimes and how important it is to see to it that we have some control over these individuals who do commit crimes against animals. We've come to learn that people who abuse animals very often are involved in abusing people. The work on the registry isn't all that complicated. Yeah, it's a lot more work, but it is a registry similar to a sex registry where an individual's name is placed on a registry so that we know who's been abusing animals, that we can have some control over whether or not they have animals in the future. So I think the law is an excellent law. I know there are other counties around us that have similar laws. And I think it's the hope and expectation that maybe we can get one law across the state where there's a common registry. So counties can all work together. If an individual who uses an animal in Greene County moves to Westchester, we'll all be connected so that we're all working together. So at any rate, I'm fully in favor of this law. I think it's a great law. I know there's some concern. They said maybe an individual stated maybe we should focus on domestic violence more, animal crimes less. As was stated, the crimes are occurring. We are dealing with them. And we can't slack off on one particular crime and focus on others. Our responsibility to the community in order to keep the community safe is to focus on all crimes. And if there needs to be an increase in personnel to do that, I'm sure the sheriff's office will make that case to the legislature. Thank you.
I do have two comments that were sent in by email. We're not going to be here tonight, but I'm going to include them in the minutes. I won't read them all. The first one is from the Pet Industry Joint Advisory Council in Alexandria, Virginia. And they are respectfully requesting that we not advance this proposed ordinance as written. And their justification is that it penalizes the retail people that are selling these animals at a retail level. I liken this to checking an ID for making sure somebody's 21 to buy alcohol. That falls on a clerk as well. When it's a law, it's the law. So I would suspect that the businesses are more apt to actually follow the law than maybe a private owner trying to transfer, but that's their basic premise there. And the second one was from the ASPCA in Delmar. They had a few arguments here. They were also requesting that we not move this forward. Basically, the registries they claim may actually decrease the prosecution. Registries are limited in scope. They don't remove potential access to pets, place additional burdens on animal sheltering organizations, expensive to institute, and they create a vigilante mentality in the public. So that is their position on this. They're asking as well that we not move this forward. I would like to, I did send Linda copies of both of these submissions so that they can go into the official minutes. There is one other thing on this local law. When we get to our regular meeting and vote on this, one word, even after all of the ayes that have been through this thing over the last several months, there's one word that needs to be stricken to make the intent actually what the law says. And it's in section 6, the requirements and prohibitions. Section D, subsection 1, it shall be considered a violation if the animal abuse registry was reviewed at the time of sale, exchange, or transfer, and the animal abuse offender was not listed. Well, it's not a violation if they're not listed. It would constitute a violation if you check the registry if they are listed and the sale still takes place. So when we get to the meeting, we will, I'll put a motion forward to strike the word not from that particular sentence in the law. All the best efforts sometimes you still find that one thing. So we'll do that in the regular meeting. Is there anyone else here this evening who wishes to be heard with regard to local law number 2? Local law establishing a countywide animal abuse prevention.
Ask a question. Thank you.
Legislator Kellogg.
Sheriff Peter, Captain Tracy, and Mike, and this is Attorney Joe Scanzione. Will this you all work very hard, have a lot. Would something like this be too much for your departments to handle? Thank you. That's all. Thank you.